Tonight, the race to replace Justin Trudeau narrows.
I will not be seeking to be the leader.
Some big names opt out as another teases he's in.
You sneaky, you're running as an outsider.
I am an outsider.
Mark Carney all but launches his campaign on American late night. High winds fuel fire fears in L.A.
You're just on high alert all the time.
as the scale of the loss becomes clear. And Trump's defense pick goes on offense.
There was a coordinated smear campaign.
Accused of sexual assault drinking on the job, Republicans remain steadfast.
How many senators have showed up drunk to vote at night?
The deeply contentious hearing.
From CBC News, this is The National with Chief Correspondent Adrian Arsenault.
Thanks for joining us. The Liberal leadership race is tightening tonight with more high-profile politicians announcing they're not running. Former BC Premier Christy and Industry Minister François-Philippe Champagne both out. But there are others about to jump in. Former Finance Minister Freeland, former Bank of Canada Governor Mark Carney, and House Leader Karina Gould all set to launch campaigns within days. Ashley Burke shows us how some of those top contenders are already trying to position themselves.
A surprise late-night appearance.
Former Governor of the Bank of Canada and Bank of England. Please welcome to the program, Mark Carney. Sir!
A Liberal leadership contender who's avoided interviews on Canadian TV, now teasing his bid to become Liberal leader on a popular American show.
Have you offered yourself as leader?
I just started thinking about it when you brought it up.
But sources say Mark Carney's mind is made up. And on Thursday, he's expected to launch his campaign to replace Justin Trudeau.
But let's say the candidate wasn't part of the government. Let's say the candidate did have a lot of economic experience. Let's say the candidate did deal with crises. Let's say the candidate had a plan to deal with the challenges in the here and now.
You sneaky, you're running as an outsider.
I am an outsider.
Well, Carney's in, others are out.
It was probably one of the most difficult decisions in my life, but I think it's the right one at the right time. And so this is...
Industry Minister François-Philippe Champagne sitting this race out. So will former BC Premier Christy Clark. She's blaming a lack of time and her lack of French.
I supported Jean Charest.
But this interview on CBC Radio's The House about joining the Conservative Party didn't help either.
You voted in the race, did you not?
No, I didn't. And I never got a membership, and I never got a ballot. What I did, though,
I will say, Christy Clark, we reached out to the Conservative Party, who told us, in fact, that your membership was cancelled.
Oh.
That leaves a lot of space for the youngest contender, 37-year-old House Leader Karina Gould, who sources say will announce her leadership bid this week.
I think it is extremely important that we have a younger voice in the race who can relate to people where they are and the struggles that they're facing today.
Those looking to lead the Liberals have until next week to declare if they're running.
So, Ashley, at this point, who else are you expecting to announce that they're in?
Adrian, Natural Resources Minister Jonathan Wilkinson is still weighing his options, but the big contender that many Liberals are waiting for is Chrystia Freeland. Sources say she's expected to enter the race before Monday. That's the day Donald Trump takes over as U.S. president. Freeland's called him a bully before and is expected to try and position herself as someone who can stand up for Canada.
All right, Ashley Burke tonight in Ottawa. Well, Canada's premiers aren't waiting until Trump takes office to try to find a way to get ahead of his tariff threat. But as they prepare to meet with the Prime Minister, the incoming president is adding more fuel to the fire. Kate McKenna now with the efforts to change Trump's mind.
The clock is ticking. In less than a week, Donald Trump could slap massive tariffs on Canadian goods.
It could cost 500,000 jobs. This is serious. It's unprecedented.
3 provinces have made a last-minute push, promoting their border security plans to try to appease Trump ahead of his inauguration.
When our largest trading partner identifies some challenges in his mind around border security at the 49th parallel, we pay attention.
There's around 800 resources on the ground each day to see the situation at the border. to respond to illegal crossing.
Trump said tariffs are coming unless Canada cracks down on illegal drugs and illegal border crossings.
When this change comes into effect,
The federal government announced a $1.3 billion border strategy last month, endorsed by Ontario Premier Doug Ford.
We just had a really, really positive meeting talking about tariffs, talking about border security. I saw the plan for border security. It's phenomenal.
But Trump has since moved the goalpost and doubled down, posting plans to create an external revenue service to collect tariffs, even though the cost of tariffs would likely be passed on to American consumers. A former Trump strategist told Politico he'd go even further.
You wouldn't just look at tariffs, you look at everything about how you can charge fees, essentially, whether that's on investment, whether that's on other things of access to this country.
I just think we're stronger together.
Canadian officials have appeared on American TV almost every day, promoting the mutual benefits of the current trade relationship.
Let's create strong, good American jobs. That's what I believe in.
The premiers are set to meet on Wednesday, along with the Prime Minister, and Trump's tariff threat is the only thing on the agenda. Kate McKenna, CBC News, Ottawa.
In Los Angeles, millions are on alert tonight with fears the wildfires could quickly get worse. High winds are expected to fan those flames, which have already killed at least 24 people and destroyed thousands of homes. Still, as Cam McIntosh shows us, people are finding ways to lean on each other.
On a day of great tension, some levity. Comedian Jay Leno pulling into the fire zone with a vintage fire truck full of food for firefighters.
I just think whatever you can do to help out those that need some help. I mean, I've been very fortunate. California's been good to me.
But there are fears the LA fires may flare up again. The National Weather Service warning of a particularly dangerous situation, with possible wind gusts up to 80 kilometers an hour going into Wednesday.
The anticipated winds, combined with low humidities and low fuel moistures, will keep the fire threat in the LA region critical.
Here's why that gusting wind is so worrisome. Below me here, you can see where firefighters held the line. There's still hoses on that slope there. The homes were saved, but the valley below is completely scorched. Just beyond it, we can see smoke rising out. There's still heat down there.
And what they're doing now is they're going in from that perimeter and mopping up 100, 200, 300 feet inside so that every hot spot in that section is out and dead.
Thousands of homes are destroyed with damages in the billions. The big fear, more loss of life, as search and rescue use cadaver dogs to comb through the fire zone looking for others missing.
It's active, not easy work, and the good news was that no other remains were found yesterday.
Meanwhile, others wait nervously. In nearby Malibu, Kim Bubbs clears brush from around her home. Originally from Oakville, Ontario, she's just outside the evacuation area, but still at risk.
You're just on high alert all the time. So it's been very harrowing, very difficult. My daughter's school burned down, so it's hard on the kids.
Along the Pacific Coast Highway, hundreds of fire trucks sent from across North America wait on the ready. In a country so divided, a display of humanity may be a moment.
Our spirits are up, everybody feels good, there's a real sense of community. Sadly, that's sometimes what it takes to get people to bond together.
Well, this is LA. Jay Leno, one of many celebrities trying to help out here, while other celebrities have lost their homes, including Canadian Eugene Levy.
Terrible. So, Cam, can you give us a bit more information about this potentially dangerous weather ahead?
Yes, the National Weather Service says the wind still has the potential to gust overnight and into Wednesday. So that's why emergency resources are still here, including that command post behind me. But the winds were lighter than expected, and they do expect that winds will change by the end of the week, blowing in off the ocean, bringing in much cooler and more humid air.
Okay.
Adrian.
That's something. All right, Cam McIntosh in Malibu, California tonight. Thanks, Cam. As you just saw, Canadians are among those who've lost everything in these devastating wildfires. Tens of thousands of people from Canada live in California. And as Lindsay Duncombe shows us, after starting a new life in the U.S., many will now have to begin again.
It's like we're starting over again, starting our life again.
Brian Hughes grabbed one guitar when he left his Altadena home and music studio. The rest are gone.
So how many guitars did you lose?
About 40.
40?
Yeah.
Hughes is originally from Edmonton. He leads the tour band for Canadian Celtic singer-songwriter Lorena McKennitt. His home was a place where people would gather to create music.
It was like a little oasis.
For now, he and his wife are staying with a friend from Ontario, soon moving to the California condo of a former guitar student from Edmonton.
And he said, hey man, you can, stay in my condo in Pasadena, till, middle of March, or maybe even longer if you want.
The hardest part is the anxiety of not knowing what's next.
This is my grandmother's.
Karen Weber's family lost their home in the Palisades. What they grabbed when they had to flee? So Canadian.
And we took the skates, of course. Yeah, didn't get the hockey equipment, but we got the skates.
They just managed to secure a rental home. It's been tough.
And the prices are going higher and higher and higher. They're asking for 2-year leases, which is crazy when you're so frantic. In the back of our mind, we're thinking maybe we'll spread our money a little better and come back to Vancouver for a couple months, and before we even start the building process.
With the leaves and the forest pattern, because that's what I left behind to come down here.
NASA scientist Raymond Francis saved the quilt his grandma made him to remind him of Sudbury.
A few little mementos.
And this space-themed box of precious mementos.
Here's my friend and the driveway.
He had just purchased his Altadena home. He's had offers to come stay in Canada, too.
But in the end, I came here to explore the planets, and that's where we do this. So I'm going to do my best to stay here.
Rover missions.
But like so many Canadians at the top of their fields, LA is the place to be. However changed it is. Lindsay Duncombe, CBC News, Los Angeles.
An increasing number of officials say we're on the cusp of a ceasefire in Gaza. The deal would give Palestinians a period of peace after 15 months of bombardments and allow Israeli hostages to return home. Margaret Evans now on the growing hope that this will be the deal that finally succeeds.
Smoke on the horizon in Gaza. The path towards a ceasefire still clouded for now, even though diplomats are still insisting it's closer than ever. Hard to feel optimistic for Palestinians in Gaza trying to survive Israeli bombs still raining down. Witnesses say 9 people, including 2 children, were killed in an Israeli airstrike in Khan Yunis earlier. Our hope hinges on this truce, says Bassel al-Masri. We want it implemented so we can go back to our homes. And in Israel, hard too for the families of hostages who've now been held in Gaza for over a year to find hope. They've been disappointed time and again. The deal being negotiated is only a partial one, based on an initial phased release of some hostages in exchange for Palestinian prisoners in Israeli jails, and a potential pullback by some Israeli troops. Many relatives of the Israeli hostages want them all released at once.
We don't want more hostages left behind. And we don't want to hear about more hostages being killed in captivity like my cousin.
In the United States, as the clock ticks down towards the end of Joe Biden's administration and the start of Donald Trump's, officials from both sides of the presidential coin are claiming credit for the progress they believe is being made now.
I believe the deal will follow closely the terms of the agreement that President Biden put forward last May, and our administration rallied the world behind.
An anguishing thought for all those who have lost loved ones in the interim, and a reminder for the potential of an agreement being talked up just as it was back then to fall short of closure. Margaret Evans, CBC News, London.
In about 20 minutes, we will break down what this deal could look like and how a ceasefire could unfold. Well, Donald Trump's controversial pick for defense secretary faced a long and contentious confirmation hearing today. As Paul Hunter tells us, Democrats grilled him, but Republicans seem set to confirm him anyway.
Pete Hegseth, the one-time soldier turned Fox News presenter, is by almost any measure the most controversial choice ever to lead the most powerful military force on the planet. Donald Trump's pick to be U.S. Secretary of Defense.
I joined the military because I love my country.
Heralded by some as a much-needed Washington outsider, his many critics label Hegseth supremely unqualified, with his suggestion women are unfit for combat roles and a past allegation of sexual assault.
I'm not a perfect person, as has been acknowledged. Saved by the grace of God, by Jesus.
Hegseth dismissed most of the criticism against him as a media smear campaign, but Democrats were having none of it.
I have many concerns about your record.
You, sir, are a no-go at this station.
I want to talk about financial mismanagement.
And I have serious concerns that your behavior toward women disqualifies you.
On that, he said,
I respect every single female service member that has put on the uniform past and present.
On reports he'd regularly been drunk at work, said Hegseth, false. And on that accusation of sexual assault,
I was falsely accused in October of 2017. It was fully investigated, and I was completely cleared.
Your own lawyer said that you entered into an NDA and paid a person who accused you of raping her a sum of money to make sure that she did not file a complaint.
Underlining the divide in this country, the split in the room was straight down party lines. Republicans quick to slam Democrat critics.
The senator from Virginia starts bringing up the fact that what if you showed up drunk to your job? How many senators have showed up drunk to vote at night?
The vote is yet to come, but it is Republicans who control the Senate. With all signals, after all of that, Hegseth will get the job. Paul Hunter, CBC News, Washington.
South Korea's impeached president has been detained weeks after a warrant was first issued for his arrest. Police forced their way through crowds of protesters and makeshift barricades to gain access to the presidential residence. Yoon Suk-yeol was wanted for attempting to impose martial law while under political pressure. Now he's set to be questioned about that decision by anti-corruption officials. The Princess of Wales says her cancer is in remission. Today, she visited the London hospital where she received preventative chemotherapy. In a social media post, she thanked hospital staff, saying she's in remission and focused on recovery. Last year, Catherine announced her diagnosis after a major abdominal surgery. Well, demands for action in Nova Scotia tonight in the wake of the deaths of 6 women, all in the last 3 months, all killed by their male partners.
I do not want to see another article that somebody lost their life.
What experts say needs to be done to prevent intimate partner violence. Next. Plus, portrait of a dictator.
He evidently wants to dominate all the time. He wants to prove that he's the toughest guy in the room.
Terence McKenna pulls back the curtain on Vladimir Putin's dark vision of the world. And later, an unexpected visitor while in the hot tub.
It probably was going to be a couple more seconds before it pounced on us.
Their encounter. We're back in 2. Starbucks is scrapping its open door policy in North America, now saying people using its coffee shops must buy something. Previously, anyone could use the washrooms, patio, or Wi-Fi, even if they hadn't made a purchase. The move is seen as being a way to deter people experiencing homelessness. But the company says our goal is to create a welcoming environment. Well, a series of disturbing murders in Nova Scotia is prompting urgent calls for action. In the past 3 months, 6 women have been killed by their male partners. Kayla Hounsell on what some say needs to change.
In North Preston, Nova Scotia, an entire community gathers to remember a 40-year-old woman and her father.
I'll say sleep tight, my cousin.
Coralie Smith, who went by Alicia, and her father were shot and killed by her boyfriend on New Year's Eve. Smith is one of 6 women killed by their male partners in Nova Scotia within just 3 months. Brenda Tatlock Burke was killed by her husband, a retired RCMP officer. Elaine Mosier and Nicole Murphy, both also killed by their partners in their homes. And just 3 days ago, a 22-year-old woman was killed in this home in the Annapolis Valley.
Almost everybody knows everybody, and certainly everyone in that subdivision would have been probably touched by these people.
In the latest case, a man has been charged with second-degree murder and arson with disregard to human life. In all of the other cases, the men died by suicide.
The motion is carried.
In September, the Nova Scotia legislature passed a bill declaring domestic violence an epidemic. The Mass Casualty Commission, examining the mass shooting in the province in 2020, also recommended, quote, epidemic-level funding for the prevention of gender-based violence. Last week, advocates sent this letter to government saying this is a troubling pattern that underscores the critical need for immediate action. They met with provincial officials Tuesday.
I do not want to see another article that somebody lost their life. I don't want to see that. So we're asking for change and now.
As another woman is laid to rest, advocates say more mental health supports, safe and affordable housing, and poverty reduction are all necessary to prevent even one more death at the hands of an intimate partner.
Rest in peace, Alicia. I love you forever.
Kayla Hounsel, CBC News, Halifax.
If you or someone you know is in crisis, help is available at endingviolencecanada.org or sheltersafe.ca. But if you're in immediate danger, of course, call 911. Well, 3 children have now died after a house fire this weekend in Lower Sackville, Nova Scotia, according to a family friend. A GoFundMe says the victims were 5, 6, and 9 years old. A 40-year-old was also taken to hospital and listed in critical condition. The cause of the fire doesn't appear suspicious. A notorious Ontario recruiter is continuing to run her business despite being accused of preying on the hopes and dreams of vulnerable immigrants.
I can't find a job. I can't even support my son.
The CBC News investigation and the calls for greater oversight. Plus, Israel could be on the brink of a ceasefire deal with Hamas.
The talks that are ongoing now are on the final details of reaching an agreement.
So what will it look like? We'll break down what we know so far. And the making of Vladimir Putin.
He was going to do everything he could to crush any sort of opposition in Russia.
Terence McKenna's new documentary charts the course of the ruthless ruler. The National breaks down the stories shaping our world. Next. That sound is what scientists believe is a world's first. So last summer, a meteorite was caught on a P.E.I. doorbell camera. The homeowner collected samples and then sent those samples to the University of Alberta.
It's probably the first time that the sound of an impact of a meteorite hitting something at the surface has ever been recorded.
He also determined the meteor is from an asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. It came a very long way. Well, a CBC News investigation is exposing an Ontario businesswoman scamming migrant workers. She was caught charging illegal fees to workers more than 30 times. As Valerie Ouellette explains, she continues to operate while one alleged victim is now homeless.
A joyful dance from foreign workers, showing off their work permits, golden tickets to a new life in Canada. Stories like these are all over this recruitment agency's Facebook page. It's called Link for Staff. It's owned by Janet Mosquito. She claims to have helped hundreds of newcomers for a fee. But behind the happy pictures, CBC found a trail of broken dreams.
Everything's a lie.
John Kizo wishes he'd never met her. In March 2023, the international student says he paid the recruiter nearly $3,000 to help him find a job and work permit. He dropped out of college, and Mosquito found him a job, but she never came through with the work permit. Kizo's now living in this homeless shelter, broke and unable to work legally.
I cannot pay the debt. I can't find a job. I can't even support my son.
A CBC investigation has found that Mosquito and her companies have been caught 35 times by the Ministry of Labour charging foreign workers illegal recruitment fees for jobs. That makes her Ontario's top offender, while she was ordered to repay the fees, sometimes with a small penalty. This lawyer says that's not enough to discourage unscrupulous recruiters.
It's like a parking ticket, you know. You park, you get a violation, you pay. That's it. You can do it again.
Under provincial law, repeat offenders can be charged and face jail time. CBC asked the ministry why they haven't pursued Mosquito. They did not answer, but said they will soon introduce tougher measures, including naming and shaming dishonest immigration representatives.
Thank you for calling Link 4 staff.
Meanwhile, Mosquito's company is still open for business. CBC tried contacting her multiple times for comment, but...
Hello, I'm calling from CBC News. They hung up.
Valérie Ouellet, CBC News, Toronto.
Now it's time to dig deeper into the stories shaping our world. 25 years ago, Vladimir Putin rose to power, a professed reformer determined to redefine Russia.
He evidently wants to dominate all the time.
His reign dotted with disputed elections and devastating wars.
So annexing territory is just it's a very important element of destroying the world order.
Putin's grip on power and his dream of a new Russian empire. But first, 15 months into the war in Gaza, a deal to end the fighting appears closer than ever.
Our intensive efforts have brought us to the brink of full and final agreement.
Stalled for months, there's now measured optimism as mediators push to seal the deal. Jonathan Gatehouse breaks down what we know about the deal on the table and how a ceasefire could unfold.
The glittering towers of Doha are 2,000 kilometers and seemingly a world away from Israel's conflict with Hamas in Gaza. But it's where peace negotiations, hosted by Qatar and mediated by Egypt and the United States, are finally inching closer to a deal.
The talks that are ongoing now are on the final details of reaching an agreement.
The delicate understanding may still fall apart, but the outline of a three-stage agreement to bring home hostages and end the conflict is now said to be in place. Phase 1, an initial 6-week ceasefire, during which 33 Israeli hostages will be exchanged for hundreds of Palestinian prisoners.
The issue of what we refer to as the keys, the names, the identities, living, dead, of the hostages to be released, against the names, identities, and numbers of prisoners to be released in return, has been a key element of these negotiations.
Humanitarian aid, which has been restricted for months, will flow at the rate of 600 truckloads a day. That would more than triple last month's average number of daily crossings. All of this close to proposals that have been on the table since last spring, with one important change.
Hamas has backed down from the assurance from trying to get any explicit or really even an implicit guarantee that the war would end in that first phase.
Phase 2 would see the remaining living hostages, believed to number around 60, many of them Israeli soldiers, returned in exchange for a permanent ceasefire, full military withdrawal, and the exchange of more Palestinian detainees.
Reaching agreement will require all parties to summon the political will, to make hard decisions, to make hard compromises.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is calling on all sides to finalize the deal. Phase 3 would be about rebuilding and the creation of a new government for Gaza, one that excludes Hamas and will require significant regional and international cooperation.
There's no guarantee that the agreement will move from the first stage to the second stage to the third and final stage automatically. It may just amount to a single stage agreement, which is a temporary ceasefire in exchange for the release of roughly 33 Israeli hostages.
All parties are now focused on getting a deal done by January 20th, providing a grace note to end Joe Biden's term in office, and a big win for the incoming president, who has vowed to bring a swift end to the conflict.
I will stop the chaos in the Middle East.
I think it's fair to say that ultimately it is President Trump and both Israel's desire and the desires of Hamas's patrons to try to avoid the wrath of Donald Trump that may push this over the edge.
Rebuilding will take years, as well as tens of billions in international aid, all while the issue of how to forge a lasting peace remains unresolved.
Are we any closer to a political solution?
Sadly, no. I think we're much farther away from a political solution, such as a two-state solution or a Palestinian state. That is farther off than probably at any point before now.
Dreams deferred in favor of basic survival.
As Jonathan showed, it appears significant strides are being made to reach a ceasefire, but Gaza health officials say dozens were killed in another deadly Israeli strike today. Well, coming up, as Vladimir Putin's grip on Russia has tightened, his foreign policy has grown more aggressive.
It speaks to a dark nature, a character flaw.
Terence McKenna looks at his journey to absolute power from the KGB to the Kremlin. That's next. From minor KGB agent to absolute ruler, Russian President Vladimir Putin has ruthlessly confronted enemies at home and waged war abroad.
Opportunity, this is what made them really strong. So smell it, grab it, attack.
In his 25 years in power, he's been unwavering in his quest to reshape Russia and even the world. CBC's Terence McKenna has been working on a documentary on Putin's rise to power, from humble beginnings to his reign as a ruthless leader. Here's part of that documentary.
Many believe that the personal relationships of world leaders have a lot to do with how history unfolds. And Vladimir Putin's 25-year interaction with foreign leaders provides a fascinating case study of that theory. He recently invited India's Narendra Modi to a private dinner at his home, and Modi proclaimed himself very touched by the gesture. China's Xi Jinping has called Putin his best friend. And at the 2024 BRICS summit, Putin said that his friendships provided the basis for a new world order. In the past, his adversaries got a different treatment. There was evidence Putin played psychological games with foreign leaders like German Chancellor Angela Merkel. In this 2007 meeting, the Russian president brought in his large Labrador dog.
It's that classic KGB mindset. Everyone knew that Angela Merkel was terrified of dogs. She had a phobia of dogs. Putin knew that probably better than most. He is well briefed. He knows what people's buttons are and he pushes them.
He evidently wants to dominate all the time. He wants to prove that he's the toughest guy in the room. He always has to have someone to humiliate.
It speaks to a dark nature, a character flaw in that man that crosses all lines in terms of diplomacy and just human nature.
Former French President François Hollande was also struck by Putin's psychological tactics in their personal meetings.
C'est pas un hasard s'il a été formé au KGB. Le KGB, c'est ça, c'est je vous menace et je vous emmène aussi dans une relation presque personnelle. Toujours pour avoir deux fers au feu. Je vous menace, mais je suis prêt à la discussion.
In 2008, Putin was prevented by constitutional term limits to run again for the presidency, and so he temporarily stepped aside and allowed his longtime assistant, Dmitry Medvedev, to take the job. Putin was appointed prime minister.
He takes the Medvedev as his chair-warming person. I remember my joke was at the time is that Russia is so patriarchal that even our first lady is a man. So whatever Medvedev is doing is only he's on a long leash or a short leash, but it's a leash.
The U.S. government misread the situation. They thought Putin's power had been eclipsed, and they could now deal directly with the seemingly more liberal Medvedev. In a clumsy maneuver, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton presented Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov with a button to symbolically reset relations with the U.S., but mistranslated the word reset in Russian.
The Americans, the Obama administration, fell into the kind of naive trap that they could build up Medvedev, who, by the way, is a very short man, and push down on Putin, and that would work as a strategy. It was never going to work, and it was extraordinary that they even pursued it.
While Dmitry Medvedev was filling in as president of Russia, the Middle East went through a period of upheaval. The Arab Spring in 2011 swept away dictatorships in Tunisia and Egypt, and then focused on the longtime Russian client state of Libya. As Western powers moved to aid the uprising against dictator Muammar Gaddafi, President Medvedev decided to stand aside and not interfere. Gaddafi was tracked down by angry mobs as he tried to flee, dragged out of a sewer pipe and murdered in front of the cameras. This was reportedly a very important moment for Vladimir Putin, who watched the videotape of this moment over and over. He became determined that he should not share the same eventual fate.
I think that was a key and seminal moment for him, where he decided that he was going to do everything he could to crush any sort of opposition in Russia, so that there was never any danger of a popular uprising coming for him in the same way that it had come for Gaddafi.
Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin.
In another fixed election in 2012, an apparently emotional Putin took the Russian presidency back from Dmitry Medvedev. In his new term, he clearly decided to be much more aggressive with Western countries, something that became apparent in his first private meeting with then French President François Hollande. Putin complained about being surrounded by NATO missiles installed in Europe.
Et il a demandé, ce qui est assez rare dans un entretien entre chefs d'État, d'avoir un papier et sur lequel il a dessiné une carte de l'Europe et il a mis les missiles qui étaient disposés sur la partie centrale de l'Europe et qui menaçaient directement sa sécurité. Il voulait déjà jouer les victimes, c'est-à-dire l'agresser, comme pour mieux justifier ensuite ce qu'il aurait peut-être à faire pour soi-disant se défendre.
Putin would soon go on the attack in Syria, where he had long supported the dictator Bashar al-Assad. In the civil war there, the US President Barack Obama said it would be a red line if chemical weapons were used by Russia or their Syrian regime allies. When chemical weapons were in fact employed, as all the world could see from TV images of children choking to death, once again the Western world did almost nothing.
Le fait que nous n'ayons pas puni Bachar el-Assad au moment où il a utilisé des armes chimiques et que Obama finit par renoncer à l'opération a été pour Poutine aussi un moyen de continuer à faire ses opérations aussi bien au Moyen-Orient qu'en Ukraine.
By 2013, Putin indeed turned his attention back to Ukraine and tried to force the pro-Russian President Viktor Yanukovych to cancel a proposed new treaty with Europe. Just like the Orange Revolution, the majority pro-Western population rebelled, and again the Maidan Square was filled with anti-Russian protesters, egged on by European and American politicians.
People of Ukraine, this is your moment.
Yanukovych tried to put down the Maidan protest with police violence and bullets. The demonstrators held their ground. The Putin-backed President Yanukovych fled the country on a helicopter in the dead of night.
Putin saw Ukraine as a part of Russia, and he saw Euromaidan as essentially the first part of a potential uprising that could eventually end in him being removed from power. So it was unacceptable to him that Euromaidan had swept in and that these protests had removed his man from the job.
There were joyous celebrations in Kyiv, but Putin was plotting his revenge. He had decided to break up Ukraine by seizing the Crimean Peninsula in the south and the majority Russian-speaking areas in the east of the country. He deployed to Crimea an army of Russian soldiers without any markings on their uniforms, who became known as the Little Green Men. When he was asked about them, Putin lied and said they had nothing to do with Russia. Russian soldiers and Russian-backed separatists began attacking Ukraine's army in the eastern Russian-speaking areas of the Donbass. Garry Kasparov was the longtime world chess champion who gave up chess to work in opposition to Vladimir Putin's regime. He was arrested numerous times. He saw Putin's Crimea move as a key turning point.
That was the best way for the way Putin saw it, to tell the West that, you know, he's no longer playing by the rules. So annexing territory is just, it's a very important element of destroying the world order. But dictators, they are opportunists. Even Hitler was opportunist, or Stalin. They had ideology, but still opportunity. This is what made them really strong. So smell it, grab it, attack.
So Terence, that first Russian invasion of Crimea, right? So that led obviously to the much larger one in 2022. We're in a situation now where Donald Trump is days away from becoming president. What's your sense of how that's going to affect the war in Ukraine and then U.S. relations with Putin?
You know, there's certainly a sense that Putin has been waiting for a Trump presidency because Trump has said so many negative things about Ukraine, about President Zelensky, about NATO. On the other hand, who knows? You know, if Putin doesn't go along with Trump's proposed peace plan, maybe he'll get mad at Putin and up the ante somehow.
But what about Ukraine? What's your sense of whether Ukraine will go along with that plan?
You know, there are indications that Ukrainians are understandably tired of this war and are ready to make at least temporary land concessions in exchange for some kind of peace, as long as they get Western security guarantees that Russia won't be able to attack them again. And, you know, for the last 2 years, there was a lot of talk that Zelensky would be thrown out of power if he tried to make a peace deal with Russia. I think that's no longer the case.
Okay, well, we will all be watching. Terence McKenna, thank you.
Thanks.
You can watch Putin's journey, a CBC Network special report with Terence McKenna this Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern, or you can stream it right now on the CBC News YouTube channel. Coming up, this was not the relaxing night they were expecting in the hot tub.
Oh, it is a cougar, Dad? It is a cougar. Dad.
Terrifying encounter with an apex predator next in our moment. Okay, I know this picture is grainy, but I'm betting you can make out the glowing eyes. They belong to a cougar, just sitting there watching and waiting as Natalie and Steve Dennis soaked in the hot tub. So just seconds earlier, the father-daughter duo were enjoying a lovely Tofino evening until that big cat gave them an even bigger scare. And the close call? Well, that's our moment.
Oh, it is a cougar, Dad? It is a cougar.
Holy shit. And I was in the hot tub, and then my dad came out, and our cat was like acting all weird. And then we heard kind of rock movements.
Probably the raccoons.
So I decided to turn on the video with the flashlight so we could look. Here, we both have our heads over the side of the hot tub. We must have been about a foot away from it. The first thing I saw was the eyes, and then I saw the body. It was massive. Then that's when I was like, Dad, it's a cougar.
Holy shit. Oh, yes, indeed.
Your heart instantly starts racing, and instincts kind of take over. And the next, like, 30 seconds is us just running in the house with our swimsuits on. So pretty terrifying. It probably was going to be a couple more seconds before it pounced on us. Yeah, I don't want to come that close to a cougar again, that's for sure. Like, That was too close for comfort.
Oh, yes, indeed.
No kidding. I can promise you I would never set foot in that hot tub again. Turns out, on the Tofino Facebook bulletin board, 2 cougars were spotted in a field around that time. So there's a very good chance there wasn't just one staring at them, there were 2. One was just better at hiding. From all of us at The National, thank you for being with us. You can watch anywhere, anytime on the free CBC News app and subscribe to The National's YouTube channel. I'm Adrienne Arsenault. Take care.